Hi, welcome to MKT 204. This session is titled, Who Gets What? Manage Software Licenses Across AWS Accounts. My name is Shuhi. I'm a Senior Product Manager on the AWS Marketplace team. Thank you for joining me today. In this session, I'll provide a quick introduction to AWS Marketplace and its offerings. Then I'll talk about AWS Marketplace's recent integration with Managed Entitlements, a new feature from AWS License Manager. We'll walk through the customer challenges that this feature launch will solve and outline its key benefit and value points. After I lay out the feature benefits, I'll walk through a use case example to show how this might work for you and your organization. Finally, to give you an idea of how this feature works in practice, I'll show you a demo video of this feature on the AWS Marketplace and AWS License Manager user interfaces. Let's get started. For those of you who might not be familiar, AWS Marketplace is a curated digital catalog that makes it easy for customers to find, buy, and deploy third-party software and data products that customers need to build solutions and run their businesses. We have over 1,600 ISVs who collectively list over 8,000 product listings across 50 different categories. AWS Marketplace has 290,000 monthly active users and over 1.5 million current subscriptions. Customers come to AWS Marketplace because purchasing is quick and easy, we offer flexible pricing and terms, and we continue to expand our control and governance feature options for our customers. Speaking of control and governance, today we're here to talk about managed entitlements. Managed entitlements is a new feature launching today in the AWS License Manager service. This feature is being launched in partnership between the AWS Marketplace and AWS License Manager services. Both AWS customers and AWS partners can take advantage of this new feature. Managed entitlements helps customers automate and accelerate software license distribution and enables independent software vendors, or ISVs, to create and manage license entitlements for use on AWS and on-premises. In this session, we'll focus specifically on how AWS Marketplace's integration with managed entitlements can enable license entitlement distribution for our AWS Marketplace customers. So let's talk about how the managed entitlement feature can help AWS customers centrally govern licenses and scale. Today on AWS Marketplace, there is a one-to-one relationship between a product subscription and the resulting license entitlement. This entitlement represents the customer's right to use the specific subscribed product. Subscriptions occur at an AWS account level, which means that each account who wants to use a particular product must first subscribe to and accept the product's license terms through the AWS Marketplace user interface. As our customers grow and scale on AWS using products from AWS Marketplace, they have encountered a few challenges with this current setup. First, customers who have centralized software procurement would prefer to centrally accept license terms through one account. Our customers wanted a mechanism to persist their central subscription across their organization. And before today, each account that wanted access to use a subscribed product would have to independently accept license terms and subscribe through their respective accounts. The second challenge was that customers find it difficult to scale their AWS Marketplace purchases of free, bring your own license, and paid products across tens or even hundreds of AWS accounts. Many of our customers like to provision base AMIs, like operating systems, and network security firewalls across multiple AWS accounts in their organization. Before today, they would have to independently and manually subscribe to every product from each respective account. As you can imagine, this process becomes hard to scale across tens or hundreds of accounts. In summary, our customers want to be able to manage AWS Marketplace products centrally and programmatically enable multiple accounts to start using products immediately. Now, with managed entitlements for AWS Marketplace, we can solve both of these challenges. With this launch, we can now decouple the relationship between a AWS Marketplace subscription and the resulting license entitlement. This means that we can enable a customer to use an administrative account to subscribe to a marketplace product and agree and accept to their terms once. Then, using that same account, they can just distribute entitlements to other accounts in their AWS organization. And this can be done using the newly available UI and APIs. This feature gives our customers a scalable way to enable license access and centralized tracking of entitlements. Here's an overview of how managed entitlements for AWS Marketplace will work. On the left-hand side, to start, you should first have a subscription to a third-party product in AWS Marketplace. For that marketplace subscription, there will be a corresponding license created within the AWS License Manager console. You can track your licenses purchased from Marketplace using the AWS License Manager console or APIs. This UI and API can then be used to distribute license entitlements for Amazon Machine Images, containers products, and machine learning products. These entitlements can be granted to accounts within your AWS organizations. Each account with a granted entitlement now has the right to use that particular product. In the next slides, I'll summarize the benefits of this launch for our AWS Marketplace customers. The first benefit of managed entitlements for AWS Marketplace customers is that as a part of this launch, AWS Marketplace will create licenses that represent both your new and existing subscriptions. These licenses will be tracked in the Granted Licenses section of the AWS License Manager console. You can use the AWS License Manager console to view the third-party software licenses that you have acquired in AWS Marketplace. The second benefit is the ability to govern and distribute entitlement access from a central administrator account. You can perform entitlement distribution on Amazon Machine Images, containers products, and machine learning algorithms procured through AWS Marketplace. And you can manage entitlement distribution using the AWS License Manager console UI or APIs. You can use these newly available APIs to customize automation based on your internal workflows. For example, you can manage entitlements for AWS Marketplace products when provisioning new accounts in your AWS Control Tower landing zone. This helps you set up and govern secure multi-account AWS environments. You can also manage entitlements by distributing Marketplace products within AWS Service Catalog. And you can do this without the need to first subscribe from each individual account. Let's walk through a workflow outline of how you can manage entitlements for your AWS Marketplace purchases. Before we get started, we advise that you identify a license administrator or a license administration account. To take advantage of management and control features that are offered through the AWS organization's All Features setting, we advise that you use a user or role who has permissioned access to your organization's management account. As a license administrator, you will either newly subscribe or use an existing AWS Marketplace subscription in your administrator account. Let's take an example of a Linux operating system Amazon Machine Image AMI subscription. Once you have subscribed to this product in your administrative account through AWS Marketplace, a license gets created and granted to you in AWS License Manager. To view this license, navigate to the AWS License Manager Service Console. Then, go to the Granted Licenses section. This section allows you to see a full list of the licenses that have been granted to your administrative account. You'll be able to identify your licenses by their product name and seller of record. You can select the license ID corresponding to the Linux operating system product to view its details. In the detailed view of this product, you will notice that you have the ability to create grants that will distribute entitlements to other accounts. Once you've granted the entitlement to a licensed user account within your AWS organization, they can now view, track, and activate that Linux operating system AMI when they navigate to their granted licenses section in the AWS License Manager console. After the Linux AMI grant has been activated, your end users can now flexibly launch the software using a variety of deployment options. These options include API, SDK, AWS Service Catalog, and AWS CloudFormation, to name a few. Next, I will show you a demo video where we navigate across the AWS Marketplace and AWS License Manager services to show how you can centrally subscribe and grant entitlements for an AWS Marketplace subscription. As you can see, on the left-hand side, I have a screen entitled Grantor or Administrator. And on the right-hand side, this screen is going to capture our grantee or end user. To start out, we're going to start with the administrative account, and starting in the AWS Marketplace website, we'll go and find an Amazon machine image that we can subscribe to. Let's navigate to the second page and take a look at the product entitled Ghost Certified by Bitnami. In this product detail, we can take a look at its overview, some of the pricing information, and usage information. Looks good. Let's go ahead and continue to subscribe. In this subscribe page, you'll see that you can view the terms and conditions, including the end user license agreement of this particular product. As an administrator, you're going to go ahead and accept those terms and wait for that subscription to complete. Once that subscription completes, you'll see that you have access to the product and the license effective date is shown. Let's take a look at what the subscription looks like in the AWS Marketplace Subscriptions console. Here's the AWS Marketplace Subscriptions console. We're going to take a quick refresh. This console shows all of the existing subscriptions in the administrator account that I have today. And we can see that our new subscription has been added to the queue. You'll also see at the top of this page that we've added a banner message telling you that you can now manage your license entitlements, and you can click the button to navigate directly into the AWS License Manager console. Clicking into the product itself, you'll see a similar banner message that prompts you to go into the AWS License Manager console if you want to manage your entitlements. You'll also see in the summary box that there is a link that will take you directly to the license itself. Out of this subscription, as an administrator, I have agreed to this particular subscription, so my access level shows agreement. And I can now even launch a new instance from this particular workflow. I'm going to go ahead and copy the AMI ID and show you what this looks like from the end user side. Let's move over into our end user screen. As an end user, I have not yet subscribed to this particular product, and we can see that by navigating to the AWS Marketplace Subscriptions console. Here you see I have two subscriptions, neither of which shows Ghost Certified by Bitnami. So in this particular account, I don't yet have access or am not entitled to use this particular product. And to show you how this works, I'm going to take that AMI ID that I copied over from the left-hand side. Since it's a public AMI that has been published by Bitnami, I can go ahead and search for it within the AMI section. With this AMI, I can try to launch an instance that runs this particular AMI. I'll keep all of the settings as is and review this launch. Since I have not yet subscribed to this product and I haven't been entitled access, you can see that our launch has failed. And this is because this particular user account has not yet been enabled access to this subscription. Let's go and reset this particular screen while we navigate back into our administrator account. So as an administrator, now that you have a subscription for AWS Marketplace that you want to manage with entitlements, Let's go into the AWS License Manager console and see how we can do that. In the License Manager console, you'll navigate to the Granted Licenses section. Here you're going to see a list of licenses that correspond to the marketplace subscriptions that you have in this account. And you'll also see a bunch of different column headers that will help you identify each of these licenses. Let's go ahead and find our Ghost product and click into the license to see its license details. In the license detail view, you're going to see a couple different containers. At the top, you've got your license details, then you have grants, then you have entitlements, license consumption configuration, and at the bottom you have the dates that the license is effective. As an administrator, we're going to go ahead and create a grant so that I can enable my end user access to this particular license. In this Create Grant screen, I'll go ahead and fill out the grant name as well as the AWS account ID of the end user that I want to use this product. Let's go ahead and click on Create Grant. This grant has now been created successfully, and you'll see the banner message up top, and you'll even see an additional line item in your grants container. This line item captures the grant that you have just submitted for the account number of the end user. Let's navigate to the end user's License Manager console. As an end user, in the Granted Licenses section, I will now see a granted license for Ghost certified by Bitnami. And you'll see that in the top row, we can see this particular product as well as the grant status here says pending acceptance. So as an end user, I will navigate into this grant. And looking at the license details here, you'll see that it mirrors the license details of our administrator. At the very top of this screen, you'll see 3 buttons that say Reject, Accept, and Activate. We're going to go ahead and accept and activate this particular grant so that we can start launching it as soon as that's complete. We've initiated the Accept and Activate workflow, and you'll see that the grant status shows as processing. On the administrator side on the left, similarly, if you refresh that page, you'll see that the grant statuses mirror each other. Once this completes and the grant status shows active, we can now also go back into the administrator account and see that the status here will match. There it is. We've got the grant showing as active. After this grant has been activated, we'll go back to our AWS Marketplace Subscriptions console as an end user. Now we see that this particular product is now enabled at an entitlement level. This just means that the end user now has entitlement access to this license. And through AWS Marketplace, the end user can directly launch an instance from this workflow, or we can go back into our EC2 console and navigate back to the AMI ID that we tried before. This time, we'll hit launch again on this AMI ID and accept and walk through all of the steps to initiate this launch. And you'll see that the launch request is successful, and it looks like our instances are now beginning to launch. I can click on the View Instances button and it'll take me into the EC2 console where it'll show me that my instance is pending and that it will be activated. So that wraps up the demo for our Managed Entitlements capability, now available on the AWS Marketplace for AWS Marketplace customers. Before we conclude this session, I want to say thank you to our launch customers, Ally Financial, CloudShare, Liberty Mutual, NN Group, and Pearson. These customers participated in our feature beta and provided valuable feedback for our launch. To recap, in this session, we provided a feature overview of managed entitlements for AWS Marketplace customers. We talked about how this launch can help our customers centralize licenses and scale entitlement access. We also demonstrated how an AWS Marketplace customer can subscribe and grant license entitlements to other accounts in their AWS organization. We encourage you to try managing entitlements with your own AWS Marketplace purchases by visiting the Granted Licenses page in the AWS License Manager console. Also, make sure to check out the resources associated with this session to learn more. Thank you again for joining us today. To learn more, visit the AWS Marketplace Software Procurement Information page and check out the other AWS Marketplace and AWS Data Exchange sessions scheduled over the next few weeks. Thanks.